Clap it up. Take your questions in the room and online. Officer Ashar, we're going to wandering police today. That'll be one of the topics, and of course, you should prepare yourself for camp and for life every week. All right. Questions? Let's have it.
Sir, I'm trying to find the scripture. I came across it probably like 2 months ago, and it was like the sorority scripture, and it was saying, paraphrasing about how we'd rather be like Greeks. And then they have like I seen the picture of like the sorority sweaters and stuff. And they use this.
Rather be like Greeks. You might be the Hellenists. Does that word sound familiar?
So it was Greeks inside the scripture.
It was Greeks. Was it the Greeks seeketh after wisdom? Does that sound familiar? Why don't you go in the concordance and just look up every scripture in the New Testament in Greeks? And then if you see it, then I'll break it down for you, all right? Keep the noise down in the back, Akim, all right? All right, let's get it on. Questions? Also, we'll break down Psalms, I believe, 104, all right, to explain the condition that we have here in America and all throughout the planet Earth, all right?
So we have one question from Zabadia. And
Second,
yes.
For later, Ronnie, I need to go over Psalms. One second. And so I don't forget. Psalms 106, we'll start about 37 and take it down to 46, all right? Let's go. In the back, sis? Sister wants to say something.
Go ahead, sis.
You can just say it. No microphone today. Go ahead. I'll go into that as well. Someone else hold the dream scripture for the sister as well, all right? Okay, Ashley, what did you have? They can hear me, Ashley.
Yes, they can, sir.
Go ahead.
Zabadia asks, in Genesis chapter 37, verse 10, why did Israel rebuke Joseph?
All right, let's read it.
Counselor. Genesis chapter 37, verse 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth?
You better give me the dream first, all right?
I got a scripture for the dream, sir.
Please, go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 34,
No, I'm
verse
sorry,
2.
not that.
Not
Give
that
me the
one.
dream that Asher is reading about right now.
Okay.
The one with Joseph. Joseph's dream.
Counselor, verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 5, and Joseph dreamed the dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet more.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed.
Mm-hmm.
For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheep arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheep.
Mm-hmm. Is it
Obeisance.
That means like bowing down.
Like how much?
Like paying homage. That's correct. So in essence, he's having a dream about his brothers bowing down to him. That's the dream, all right? And that's why his father checked him. His father checked him because on the surface, the dream sounds so arrogant. It sounds like the youngest child trying to usurp the authority of his elder brothers. It sounds like he's just having a dream about him being the man, how his brothers will all bow down to him. And the dream seems so arrogant that his father checked him and his brothers hated him for it. His brothers later sold him into slavery. In slavery, he grew in the land of his captivity in Egypt into a position of great power. And while he was climbing up in stature in slavery, his brothers were dying and starving. And then one day his brothers had to come to him in the land that they sold him to get his help. All right, and that's the story. Everybody understand? So he checked him because his father thought this was arrogance. You understand?
So, just to confirm, was it arrogance the fact that he was telling these dreams?
Absolutely not. It was the Lord's prophecy because it happened. And that's the thing with dreams. There are many dreams that could seem arrogant, it could seem false until they happen.
Right.
And when they happen, that cannot be denied. And what you need many times is just a little patience. It's a little patience to wait and see whether or not this dream is just your thoughts or if it is the Most High speaking to you. Give the sister the precept that she's looking for, Levi.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 34, verse 2. Whoso regardeth dreams is like him that catcheth at a shadow.
Okay, many people are very, I'm going to describe this. Many people put too much stock in dreams. They care about them too much. They allow dreams to rule their life. They waste a lot of money on dreams. They gamble a lot of bad money, dumb money, on dreams. All right, they let dreams rule their waking life. And you don't want to do something like that because he that regardeth a dream is like he that does what?
Catcheth at a shadow.
It's like somebody trying to snatch and grab a shadow. Like you can see the shadow right there, it's there. But if I go to touch it, I can't catch it. Because the minute I go to grab it, it moves because it's not really there. And that's what a dream is. You don't want to invest your living, waking life into what you do at night when you sleep.
Right.
It's like trying to grab a shadow. Keep going.
And followeth after the wind.
And it's like following after the wind. You hear the wind blow, you feel it. Now go try to chase that wind. Right? You can't catch it at all. And that's what dreams are like. You're trying to catch and hold on to something and make it tangible. Make it real and here when it's not here. It's not here. Everybody understands. Hold your point 1 second, young brother. You're doing a good job sitting in that chair, too. Get a young brother a hand right here. Right? Good job, warrior. You're sitting like a man now. Now you're acting like a man. Well done. I'm giving him some money when we get up out of here.
The shadow just goes where you go.
Give him a hand. That's true. Everywhere you go, the shadow goes where you go. So you can't snatch it and you can't grab it. Keep going.
Verse 3. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another.
The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another. So you're having a dream about, let me give you something. What's a common dream that people have?
Winning money.
Fish. That's nothing. Fish is nothing. Fish is from, black people and their, superstitions. But there are many dreams that represent things in your life, right? You might be having a dream about a person, but it's not really about that person. It's what that person represents to you. Or you might have a dream about a high school boyfriend. Now, and you're dreaming about him, and you might wake up and say, I should go on Facebook and find that high school boyfriend and have sex with. Don't do that. Right? Because dreaming about a high school boyfriend could simply be because he represents you being young. He represents a time in your life when things might have been less complicated. He represents a happier time, a time with less responsibilities, right? It's not about the man in the dream. It's about what he represents to you. You might have a dream about a woman. You might think, I should go search this woman down and haunt her all over social media. When really it's not about the woman. It's about something that she represents, that time in your life, something that happened to you when you knew her. It's one thing that represents another thing. But you're a fool if you think the thing you're dreaming about is the actual thing that the dream is about. It is not. Even this dream with Joseph, he dreamed about farms and how the farm would prosper. It wasn't about a farm, it was about him. You get my point. All right, keep going.
Even as the likeness of a face to a face.
Even as the likeness of a face to a face. So his face looks like someone from my childhood. So I dream about him. So I think it's about Levi. But it's not about Levi. Levi reminds me of someone I knew years ago. And so I'm not actually dreaming about Levi. I'm dreaming about that person, like a face to a face, a thing that reminds you of another thing. It's your subconscious. And too many people confuse your subconscious with your conscious mind. And that's different. Everybody understand? Go ahead.
Verse 4.
Take that drink anytime you get a chance.
Of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed?
Of a what?
Of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed?
Of an unclean thing, how can you clean it? And that's what dreams are. Dreams are like you taking this thing that you're not supposed to be touching, but you're trying to touch it. It's an unclean thing. It's not for this world, which is what I just broke down. It's not for your waking world. It's not for you to say, I had a dream. Now I'm going to go play this number. Now I'm going to go marry this man. Now I'm going to go call this woman. Now I'm going to do this with my life because I had this dream last night. You're trying to touch a thing that is not made to be touched. Everyone understands? Go ahead.
And from that thing which is false, what truth can come?
Here we go. I think I just broke that down. From that thing that is false. This is not real. It's not what your tangible world is. You're trying to make it real when it's false. Everyone understands? Go ahead.
Verse 5. Divinations and soothsayings and dreams are vain.
They're vain. What's a divination? A divination is someone trying to tell you your future. Come on.
You wanted 2, right?
2.
Cheesesteaks.
Please, whatever you have, I'll take whatever my portion is. All right. Come on. Read it one more time.
Divinations and soothsayings and dreams are vain.
A divination is someone trying to tell you your future, right? A lot of people make money for that. The Levite community and the West Indian community. Come on up front.
Salakia, divination, the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means.
That's correct. That's false. That doesn't exist. That's not real. There is no old lady that can tell you your future. There's no playing cards that can tell you your future. You can't look in the bottom of tea leaves and tell the future based on tea that some bitch drank. Or playing cards that are supposed to be playing cards. But now you play with the cards and now trying to tell the future. Or chicken feet, or chicken blood, or chicken, anything to do with the chicken. Say again? Or astrology, or staring up at the stars, thinking the stars are talking to you when they're not. All right, those things are false. Keep going.
And the heart fancieth as a woman's heart in travail.
Here we go. And the heart fancies divinations and soothsaying. What is soothsaying? Sweet, sweet talk that you want so much. Come on.
Salakia, sir, if I may, that's why the women are in the Christian church right now.
Give him a hand. That's a fact. There are, and this is something that fathers try to tell children and husbands try to tell wives. There are so many people fighting every day for a chance to manipulate you and take your money.
Right.
And they're everywhere. And the minute you walk out of your mother's door, you don't know they're waiting there to manipulate you. Drug dealers with everything to make you feel good. Oh, they make you feel so good. With the weed that feels so good, the cigarettes that feel so good, the divinations and tell you your future and music that makes you feel like you're a grown-up now. You don't have to listen to your parents. Right now, you're a real gangster. Now you're a real gangster now. And all of those people are just trying to tell you what you want to hear, to make merchandise of you, to steal every penny that you have. And those are like dreams. You fancy them. The word fancy is like an old English for you like them. You fancy this kind of stuff. Keep going.
Verse 6. If they not be sent from the Most High in thy visitation, set not thy... Verse 6. If they not be sent from the Most High in thy visitation...
If they're not sent from the Most High. Why? Because some dreams are sent from the Most High. Some dreams are not dreams.
Right.
Some dreams are the Most High's communication with you. That happens. And it happens for both women and men. That's in the book of Joel. Sis.
I just am curious about dreams that they say like deja vu. Dream it or it happened before and you don't know it until it's like right upon you.
Yeah, deja vu is another thing that's not real. You can just look that up. That's not real. Deja vu in actuality is you remembering something. That feeling like you've been here before is because you have seen something that reminds you of this. So you walk into a room and you go, wait, it feels like I've been here before, but I've never been here before. Yes, you've never been here before, but you saw a room like this on TV in the 5th grade. You saw a room that this reminds you of 10 years ago. Remember, you in your subconscious, you remember everything. So you when it feels like this has happened before, this is reminding you of something that has happened before. And that's all it is, young man.
So when something is sneaking up on you, it like jump on your face and that gets you die.
Right? That's not real. That's not real. It's just your imagination. And because you have a big imagination, you are scaring yourself. But it's not real at all. Or none of these things are real. And so many people build their life off of them, or they're afraid of them when they're fake. They're not real at all. Everyone understand? Keep going.
If they be not sent from the Most High in thy visitation, set not thy heart upon them.
Those things you got to throw away. So what does that mean? We're talking 99% of your dreams. You're going to have them every night. You know, you dream every night.
Right.
Throw them all away. 99% of them. Wake up and forget them. All right? But there is that rare occurrence when the Most High is telling you something. When you think that's happening, you go find a man of God and tell him your dream. And he will determine whether or not this is just a dream or if it's the real thing. Everybody understand? All right, good to go. Next.
Last verse on that,
Sorry,
sir.
go ahead.
Verse 7, for dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them.
Read it one more time.
For dreams have deceived many.
For dreams have deceived many. You don't want to be that person, that thinks, your dreams are a pathway into supernatural knowledge. Come on.
Integration. I have a dream.
I have a dream. Give him a hand.
He hit it. I was going to ask him to use that for the moment.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Go ahead. Any more, Levi?
And they have failed that put their trust in them.
There you go. You want to follow orders. That's what I've found beneficial to me in my career.
Right.
I have a dream that night, I wake up and forget it. But what Commanding General Yohana tells me, I obey. That's real. That's for this world. For the waking world. That's something that I can do right here. It's tangible. My dreams, they're like the wind of shadows. All right. Hold your point 1 second, young brother. I'm gonna get you in 1 minute. Go ahead. We done here or not?
That's it on the dream, sir.
Any other questions?
Any questions in the room?
Concert. I have a question. Somebody tried to use 2 Samuel 15 and 30 to 32 to try to say you can cover your head.
All right, go ahead.
This is for 2 Samuel 15 and 30. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet and wept as he went up, and had his head covered. And he went barefoot. And all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went. 31. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Most High, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. So they're basically saying he covered his head, then he prayed to the Most High.
He absolutely did cover his head. Now just read above it to see what he covered his head with. That's all you need.
29, 28.
Go ahead.
28. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me. 29. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of the power again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there.
I need what he's covering his head with. If it's not, I believe it's here. If it's not here, it's in another precept. You'll see it. Just keep going up until you see what he covered his head with. All right. While you're doing it, I'll get another question. All right. Go ahead.
Concert. Chicago, Charlotte. If you have any questions, type them into the private chat about the show.
If I may, other one. Can I get a understanding of how the Christian church came about? We know the word church is in the Bible from Peter being the rock, right? How did it, from after Christ died, with the disciples going out and teaching what Christ had laid down, how did it come about to being what it is today?
Yeah, that's a long history. I remember doing a DVD on this. It had to be 100 years ago, right? There's a long history of the Christian church, right? It's a good idea for one of you capable officers to do another history of the Christian church. Go through the entire, the Protestants and the Catholics and the different branches. I'll try to summarize it up for you quickly. Let me wrap up with a budget right here. Budget, this is what you need. You need to look. They cover their head with ashes in mourning. Their heads were covered with ashes,
Right.
not with hats or yarmulkes or kufis, right? They're in mourning. It was Israelite custom to go into the ground after you burn the fire and to throw ashes and dirt on your head. And that's what David did and all the people, because it was to signify sadness. So they would literally get on the ground and just throw dirt all on their head. Come on.
So like I didn't I knew it had to do with humility, because that's what really explains what's called that. The purpose.
It's gonna say ashes, bro. Just look up this. Look up cover thy head with ashes.
Right.
And you're gonna see it, and that's what this is. So if the fake Israelites want to cover their head with ashes, they should. They should be in total sadness. They're not in the UPK.
Right.
They should be sad day and night. If I wasn't in the UPK, I would be extremely sad. So if they want to cover their head with ashes, Lord be with them, all right?
And if I may, I had a question specifically about 31. I looked up the word in the Hebrew for pray. It's not pray, it's to advise or counsel. But I wanted to understand, how do you probably do that with the Most High?
To get the Lord's counsel?
No, well, basically it's saying, David said to the Most High, I pray thee. But technically it's I counsel.
That's a different type of pray thee. That's asking for something.
God.
Right? I pray thee, give me a cup of water.
Right.
It's like asking for a cup of water. So it's virtually the same thing as what you know is praying today. It's making a request, asking for something. But if you're asking for his counsel, for him to tell you what to do, for his direction, and at this time they were at a terrible time, and they needed his plan. They needed his direction on how to go forward. And that's why they were throwing ashes on their head, because it was a terrible time. You understand, right? Where we at here?
Council, I just want to make you aware that Chicago and Charlotte are both joining us today.
Give Chicago a hand. Chicago, give Charlotte, North Carolina a hand. Well done, well done down there, all right? I'll take the next question. Any questions in the room? Any questions online? Sisters, any questions? Any questions online?
Council. Charlotte, can you please ask me the question again? The question I have lined up for you, sir, next is, this is from a sister. She wants a breakdown of first.
Damn, my apologies. Your question, right, about Christianity, right? Let me wrap this up for you as fast as I can, all right? The history of the Christian church, I'll sum it up, right? You got Christ, come on.
If I may, so starting from what the disciples had laid out.
Okay, so now you got the book of Acts. You want to start in the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, the disciples were called niggers, right? Acts 13:1, the disciples were called niger or nigger there. And also the book of Acts tells you that they were called Christians, right? And that sets up the future for them. The word nigger, just like today, was a byword. It was an insult. You understand? It was like saying that not just that you're brown-skinned men, and of course the Italians were red people, or what we would call today white people. It's to insult you because of your skin color. And that's what being called black was. Right? All the nations were brown skinned except for one, the so-called white man, but this is a way for white people to insult them. That's Acts 13:1. Let's pull it real fast. Someone has never seen it before. About you.
I was just gonna say, nature knows no color lines. When you go into the ancient Rome section, it says they basically love the Ethiopians, but Jews who were black as the Ethiopians, they hated.
Forget about it. That always happened. They loved Africans, they loved them, but hated Jews because they were black, but they were the black people they hated. And that's what nigger means. Come on.
The book of Acts, chapter 13:1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that were called Niger.
That were called Niger or nigger to insult them. And for the record, every Hispanic is a nigger. They all say nigger. Some of them I hear that they're not sure if they should say it. You absolutely should say it. All right, if you're a Hispanic, you're supposed to be saying it. Really, Judites, if Hispanics and North American Indians don't say nigger, to a Judite, it says you're not one of us.
Right.
You get my point? You have to say it to indicate that we're all niggers.
Right.
You get my point? We're all the same, and that's that. Well, they were called niggers because they were being insulted by the Romans at that time. And they were also called Christians. Pull that scripture as well.
Come on,
They
come.
were called Christians. Go
This
ahead.
is the book of Acts, chapter 11, verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church.
And give me where James was killed. That's the last one I need in the book of Acts.
Come.
Where James was killed. You have that?
And taught much people.
That's good right there. I think, do I need more?
And the disciples were called Christians.
And the disciples were called Christians. So now they're hated and insulted by the Romans, right? And the disciples begin to have a following. They begin to, start to teach some big classes down there. And so then they're hated, but they're growing. You get the point. So because they're growing and they're hated, they begin to suffer great persecution because they were so different than the other religious sects of that time, mainly because they did not believe in having more than one God. They believed in Shema Yasha'Allah Alahaya Nawa Yahweh Akkad, which means, hear, O Israel, our Lord is one. That credo, that thinking made them enemies to everyone in Rome. Because in every religion in Rome, they got together because they all accepted each other's gods. Your God is Zeus, my God is Apollo. We're together, there's no big deal. We're fine. You have your God, I have mine. Both of our gods are real. But the Israelites believed that there was only one God, and there was no God but him, and that made them instant enemies with the pantheon of gods that were worshipped in Rome, which made them enemies with the followers of those religions. Now give me when James was killed. So now the disciples are keeping the tradition from Moses of having one God and no one else is. The so-called Jews have already given, not so-called Jews, but the actual Jews have already given up to Roman persecution, right? They gave up to it in 70 AD. It's done by then. They compromised. They were willing to compromise, willing to give in, but the disciples of Christ were not. And that made them, of course, suffer great, terrible persecution. Give me where James was killed.
The book of Acts, chapter 12, verse 1. Now about that time, Herod the king.
This is a terrible bastard that really brought down a lot of persecution on the disciples of Christ who were being called Christians at that time. Herod, keep going.
Stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church.
He began to make laws, make rules to punish certain churches, right? What are churches? You know what that is, correct, right? Churches are congregations of Israelites. That's in the Bible. So he began to afflict them. So imagine he gets to school in New York and makes some rule. Philadelphia, there are so many rules in Philadelphia are made for us. Specific rules where they change the landscape of the city and put bike racks and plants and stone objects everywhere we go to speak. Everywhere we went to speak, before you know it, there's a giant stone object here where we stand. And they're all over the city, and it changed the landscape of the city. The city just on purpose trying to make sure that we cannot speak out on the street. Forget about it down here in Times Square. I think Juliana had to battle 11 years to be able to speak out there in New York or Times Square. Right. Come on.
And we're going to be there August 27th.
And we're going to be there August 27th. It took him 11 years of court after court after court, all the time, fighting for our right to speak out there on that street corner. That began to happen. Herod began to do that at the time when we were Christians following Christ who were niggers. You understand?
Just let everybody know there's food in the back if you need it.
Verse 2. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword.
Now remember, John is already in prison on the island of Patmos, right? A prison colony, right? And then James is killed, right? James from the book of James is killed. Right? Herod did this. After that, historians say Peter was killed, and they all just begin to be wiped the hell out. All right? I skipped by the the day of Pentecost. You get that whole part, right? They came back and they were teaching. Hold your point 1 second. They came back and they were teaching. So now we're at the point where they're called niggers, they're hated, they're growing, but then Herod begins to just abuse them. Historians say that when Rome burned and when Herod played the violin, and he was naked and no one would tell him. And he's naked playing the violin while Rome is burning. The political backlash was so big that he had to blame it on someone, and he blamed it on that troublesome religious sect of Jews called Christians. And he blamed the burning of Rome on them. You can look that up in history, all right? Well, then the persecution got heavy after Rome burned. Everybody blamed it on the brothers in the school. Come on.
You said that was Nero, sir?
Nero, that's what I'm speaking about. This is Herod, that's Nero, right? It got ridiculous. You understand? They went underground. They began to now, instead of having the learning in synagogues, they began to have to go and have class in the catacombs. Right. Hide underground and have class in secret, much like brothers did in the time of slavery, when they would tie headbands like the ones you have on, Levi, around their head and go have a class in a cave by torchlight. That happened during slavery, right here in America. All right, it happened in Rome. And they would go into some cave, some dugout on the ground for dead bodies and get in there, brother, and have a class. And of course, there's historical records of that in Nature Knows No Color Line and in different books like that. So that went on for a while, just hiding, having our belief in hiding, persecution. That's something that comes with serving Christ. And it's another integral part of Christianity to let you know that it is not serving Christ, because Christians are not persecuted. Christians their belief system is the belief of the world. The world believes in Christianity, and Christians have never been persecuted ever. Do you understand me? Not one time ever in history has a Christian ever been persecuted. They like to use our persecution to prop up themselves, as if they're the people that have suffered for their beliefs when they profited because of their beliefs. Adolf Hitler was a Christian. Right. Every president was a Christian. Right. Idi Amin, Christian. There is every African potentate and leader who was big bad, Africa was a Christian. Right. They were all Christian or Muslims, if you want to throw them in the later ones. They were Muslims. But we suffered for what we believed in back then, and we suffer today. To this day, we have to be persecuted for not eating pork. Well, you got every Muslim not eating pork, and Jewish people that don't eat pork or shrimp. We gotta be persecuted for not celebrating Christmas when no Jewish person or Muslim celebrates Christmas. But we have to be crazy for doing something that everybody else does. See, I remember being in court, and this bastard tried to say, "But what about your women? You don't let your women teach." Oh man, listen, when I was young in the school, that was a gigantic thing. I don't hear it much anymore. But it was gigantic that women couldn't be priests. And this lawyer was a good lawyer, didn't know how to pay for it. The lawyer said, "Oh, well, have you ever heard of nuns? Have you heard of nuns before? Are nuns allowed to teach?" He pulled up every religion and how none of them let their women teach. Right. Not one. Muslim women aren't allowed to teach. Right. Jewish women are not allowed to be rabbis. Right. None of them. And you should have saw the face of the cat. He couldn't even believe it, because he never considered that they're thinking we're crazy when none of them allow their women to be priests. None of them. Jews, Muslims, or the Catholics. None of them. But they thought we were crazy because we don't let women teach. No one does. Right. So what makes us so crazy? Because really it's because we're niggers. Right. It's not about what we believe. It's not about the pork or the shrimp or the women. It's because we're niggers. Right. You understand? Let me move on for time's sake. Keep going. So that went on. So boom, this man named Constantine, as Rome began to splinter and fall and just become a shell of itself. Imagine civil war. You know how everyone threatened civil war in America? Imagine it happening. Texas breaks off from Washington, D.C., and California breaks off. That happened in Rome. But the whole place the empire began to splinter in the civil wars. And different warlords began to rule great portions of Rome. One man was named Constantine, who was a black man who rose up, and now his family was ruling the, I believe, the western part, but I can't remember. It could be the western part of the Roman Empire, right? It could be. Look it up. It might be the eastern part.
Salakia.
Come on.
Constantine ruled the eastern part, which is why today it's called Westernization.
Solid. Constantine ruled the eastern part of Rome. He went out and he fought many wars with all of the factions that were fighting for control of Rome, right? In one of those wars, he was outnumbered, and the myth is that he looked up in the sky and he saw a cross in the sky, and he was inspired by it. Now, this cross is not the cross you think of today. It's the symbol for the Catholic Church today. It looks like a P with a cross on it, right? And it's the symbol for the Catholic Church right now. He said he saw that in the sky. He saw the symbol. He told all of his soldiers to write it on their shields, to go paint it fast on their shields. He painted it on his shield. He won the war. And after he won the war, then because of that, he wanted to follow this Jesus, because he believed that that was a sign from Jesus. Now, Constantine was a sun worshiper. So Constantine continued to worship the sun, but he was willing to compromise with the Christians who were in hiding. If they could come out of hiding, they could worship in public. They could keep their practices and their culture, as long as they would also accept worshiping the sun. This was after a great many years of persecution, and our brothers compromised. They made the compromise to come out of the caves. And so they said, fine. Sunday is now the Sabbath. And they began to compromise on many things after many councils, the Council of Chalcedon, the Council of Nicene, which in essence were just councils to bring more of Roman paganism, to couple it with the true belief of the true Christians, to make the true Christians more mainstream. That's the best way to understand it, to make them more mainstream. Now they're not so crazy and weird anymore, because they worship the sun god also. And they worship this pagan god and this pagan god. So now they're not so strange. And then it went on and went on and went on to the Catholic Church, to the See of Rome, where everybody is just Catholic, every country. And then in the 1500s, there began to be a Protestant revolution. The men named Martin Luther and a few other men who started the different Protestant sects that we have today, the Baptists, the Episcopalian, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the evangelical. Come on.
That's basically what some sellouts have done with the truth.
Yes, that's exactly what some sellouts have done with the truth. Correct. And the purple homosexuals. That's a compromise. GOCC. A compromise. Why? Because there was a time when they were in the UPK, and it was hard to believe in having more than one woman. It was hard, because you were crazy for believing you could have more than one woman. It made you outside of the mainstream. And of course, the purple homosexuals have taken on having a marriage license and having one wife, and that makes them more mainstream. And you can find that in every sellout. Come on, sis, your hand up.
Actually, answer the question. I was going to ask you how the sun they worshiping him about.
That's where, because Constantine worshipped the sun god, but he wanted to compromise with the Christians because he believed that their God helped him win the battle. So they agreed to worship the sun. He agreed to make their belief lawful, and they could just have a synagogue and they could set up schools as long as they believed that Sunday was the new Sabbath. So they believed in the Sabbath. But now he told them, if you make Sunday the Sabbath, you can come out hiding. And they did. That's the Christian church. You get the point, right? Solid. Next.
Come to Chicago has a question. In Judges chapter 18, verse 7, what does it mean when they said they had no magistrate in the land? And also, at the end of the verse, when they said they had no business there.
Let's read it. I'll get you next, Benjamin, all right? Go ahead. Who made the food tonight?
Two sisters. You got Mike Rosred.
Mike Rosred, come on. Give her a hand. Who else?
My rib.
Give her a hand. Go ahead, sis.
Who else? Hannah's mother, Nakara.
Come on, Nakara. That's it. Well done.
Who else? Who else? Am I missing anybody?
The sister right up front. What's her name?
What's your name, sis? This is my crossroad.
Tawada. I appreciate it. I'm signing place. A lot of all your hard work, all right? All right, where we at now? You up. Go ahead, the question.
Concern. It's from Chicago. Judges 18:7. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein.
I might need some context for this. What's happening around here? If you know, let me know. Right?
Keep reading, sir.
First, look above it and give me some context. Just a little bit. Read one verse above it. That might do it. See me one more time, please.
Concert. Judges chapter 18, verse 5.
Give me one finger on that one. Right?
And they said unto him, Ask counsel, we pray thee, of God, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous.
Everybody understands that right there. I believe that who are they speaking to right here?
To Micah. Hold on. We're speaking about the Danites, the family.
If you don't know who it's speaking to, just whoever they're speaking to, they're asking him to ask the Most High what they shall do. That's simple enough to understand right there, right? Keep going.
Verse 6. And the priest said unto them, Go in peace, before the Lord is your way wherein ye go. Verse 7.
Going.
Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Zidonians.
He doesn't need me to break that down, right?
Nope, not yet,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Quiet and secure, and there was no magistrate in the land.
Keep
That's
going.
the first part.
I'll get you. Keep going.
That might put them to shame in anything.
I'll explain. Okay, read it one more time.
And there was no magistrate in the
Before
land.
that, read before that.
Yes, sir.
Up to the Zidonians. Look up the Zidonians, please.
Concert. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Zidonians.
Someone look up Zidonians and give me the definition, please. Let me get it for you.
So I get it.
You got it?
Relating to the ancient Phoenician city of Sidon or its inhabitants.
Right. Say the name again. Zidon, right? What's that drop? Tyre and Zidon. That's the Zidonians, right? Tyre and Zidon was like a rich city run by heathens. Israelites worked in the city. You can think of New York. New York would be a perfect example of Tyre and Zidon, a rich port city. New York is so rich because of all of the ports that you have here in New York, all of the water, which means goods can come here from across the damn world, all right? And Tyre and Zidon was just like that. New York is run by heathens, but the heart of the working class in New York are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, and every tribe is here because of it. There are Colombians here. There's not one 12 tribe that is not there's not one of the 12 tribes that is not here in New York. Right. Each one has some conclave of this city that's theirs. The Colombians, the Brazilians, everyone, every different tribes that you'll never see outside of New York. You'll see every last one of them here. All right, because this is Jerusalem. This is the great city. This is run by heathens, and Israelites are the engine that makes it go. Just like Tyre and Zidon. Everyone understands? Come on.
Zidonians in Economist.
Go ahead, I'll take it.
Zidonians, the ancient Phoenician city, Sidon, in Lebanon. In the King James Version, usually Zidon, it was a Canaanite city, 22 miles north of Tyre. It was near Zebulun, and Asher reached it, although the Asherites never expelled its inhabitants. But all of Ashtaroth a goddess of fertility, were its chief gods.
Ashtoreth. What god is Ashtoreth? Does anyone know about you?
The God of Easter.
The god of Easter. Estar. That's Ashtoreth. Right? It's a female fertility goddess. So this land worshiped heathenistic gods. That's what you need to understand this breakdown. All right, now go ahead and read. Whoever was reading. Want somebody take it for you after, they can get it for you.
Concert. After the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure.
So now the Israelites in this city behaved like the Zidonians, meaning what? They worshiped Ashtaroth. They worshiped strange gods. And they were doing it securely. Read that part again.
Yes, sir. How they dwelt careless after the manner of the Zidonians.
They dwelt careless, meaning what? They sinned against God every day without any worries, without any cares. New York is just like that as well.
Right.
Especially with drugs. You're going to see people getting high in the middle of the street, walking down the street. A lot of you Christians out here going to church like it's nothing. You're going to church every Sunday as if it's clean, as if you're doing something righteous. Well, in Tyre and Zidon, that's the way it was. People just did whatever they wanted. They were free to do it, and there was no one stopping them. And you've gotten so bold where you do it with child molestation as well here. Child molestation, prostitution, things that are disgusting, you do in the daylight. You do boldly in front of the sky. Why? Because there are no magistrates. Because there's no judge that will drag you into a hole because you're sinning against God. And that's why you dwell carelessly. You don't have any worries because there's no judge in that city to put you to death for breaking God's commandments. All right, that was Tyre and Zidon. That was this city. Read it from the top one more time.
Concert. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless after the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure.
Quiet and secure. No one worried, no one screaming. They were fine, even though they were child molesters, idol worshipers, drug addicts and drug dealers, abusers of their own community. It didn't matter. They were quiet, no yelling, no screaming. They were doing just fine. Keep going.
And there was no magistrate in the land.
And there was no magistrate. What's a magistrate? Come on.
A judge.
A judge. A magistrate is a judge. There was no judge there to bring unlawful people to justice, which is what you must have. Everybody understands. Keep going.
That might put them to shame in anything.
That's what judges do. That might put them to shame in anything. People need to be shamed for what they're doing, man. They need to be publicly shamed, which is what that camp does for everyone. That camp cuts sinners to their soul.
Right.
And that's your obligation, and it is a duty that you're performing for them, not against them. People need that. People need to be checked and put in their place and made to be ashamed for what they're doing. And if not, they will molest children and they will not feel guilty about it. They will steal and lie and harm everyone, and they will never, their conscience will never be afflicted. But you bring great shame to them because you're the judge. Continue.
Yes. And they were far from the Zidonians, and had no business with any man.
Meaning they weren't in Tyre and Zidon, but they behaved themselves as if they were the Zidonians, worshiping the same gods as they do in Tyre and Zidon, even though they're not in Tyre and Zidon. I'll give you another example of that. Is Crips and Bloods. Crips and Bloods are from the West Coast side. When I was a kid, that was so far away. It was like something over there. How in the hell is New York full of Crips and Bloods when you're so far from all of the neighborhoods? And it's so weird when I hear young brothers say a neighborhood in the West Coast. You know, like he loves this neighborhood when that is a filthy tradition of being lost and destroyed and being fatherless. Gang culture is the culture of having no daddy. And that's that. If you don't have a father, then someone will have to perform that office for you. Someone will have to be your daddy. And now they become your daddy some filthy culture of hating other black people, hating other Hispanics. Well, it's right here in Harlem, even though you're so far from it. Everyone understands. And then I can go on and on about Islam. What in the hell are you doing being Muslim here on Malcolm X Avenue up here? You a Muslim? You a Muslim from Mecca, from Saudi Arabia. How? Like, how did you even get into this? Go ahead.
Speaking Arabic.
Speaking Arabic, dressing Arabic, with the red beard and the whole thing. That's a Saudi Arabian custom. The way they dress is what you need to dress if you live in the desert. Like, it's perfect for the desert. And some of you wear the scarf. You see the scarf? That scarf is for sandstorms. That's the point. It's so you can wrap it so the sandstorm doesn't get in your mouth and in your teeth. And you have a sandstorm scarf on. When you don't have sandstorm, listen, I can't go on and on about it. The point is, this is you. You're nowhere near this thing, but you worship it, and you got no reason to even worship it because you didn't even grow up where this sin was rooted and took place.
Right.
Keep going.
Constant. Verse 8. And they came unto their brethren to Zorah and Eshtaol, and their brethren said unto them.
Was that his question? Was it more?
That was his question, sir.
Done. All right. Next.
I have one question from Charlotte, sir.
Go ahead.
Charlotte, in Romans chapter 4, verses 1 through 8, the brother would like to know what is the work in those verses.
Okay, go ahead and read.
Constant.
Also, see if I can get this video from Captain LeBun of one of Hadaria Allah's lovely ribs. A video I've been trying to play for 6 weeks. See if someone can contact LeBun. LeBun might have it, or Hadaria Allah might have it. All right.
Constant. Romans chapter 4, starting in verse 1. What shall we say then that Abraham our father, as pertaining to the flesh, hath found? For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath whereof to glory, but not before God. For what saith the scripture? Abraham believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. Now to him that worketh.
Break this down.
Yeah, but he wants to know what the work is.
What the work is keeping the law. That's the work. Abraham was around before Moses. So you could never say that Abraham kept the law of Moses because there was no law of Moses. And that's what he means. If you're going to go by, did Abraham do the work? Meaning, did he keep the law of Moses? You can't, because there was no law of Moses. But Abraham had faith. You get my point?
Right.
Isaac had faith. Those men before the law served God before the law. Before the law existed. When I say before the law, what do I mean? Before there was a structure, a magistrate that killed you for breaking the law. These men did it simply because they had faith, believed. That's what Abraham did. He believed. Now, the works of the law mean what? That you got to go kill homosexuals, that you have to kill people that don't keep the Sabbath, that you kill people that don't celebrate the Passover every year, right? That's the work of the law. That's what the law dictates. Many people think the work of the law is not eating pork. That's not the work of the law. The work of the law is killing people that don't eat pork. Which is, when you read the law, right? The law doesn't say don't be a homosexual. The law does not say that. The law says kill homosexuals.
Right.
The work of the law is carrying out the punishments written in the law. Does everyone understand? You can just pull this anywhere that you want. Whosoever that does not celebrate the Passover every year shall be cut off from his people. It's telling the priest what to do with the person that disobeys the law, right? But Abraham was around before that. So why did he do it? He did it because he believed. There was no man to stone him. There was no one to kill him. I'm good to go through it. So why did he do it? Which is what this precept is talking about. Paul is trying to show them that there was a way to keep the law without the threat of death from a judge. There's a way to still do it, which is the point of Paul. Paul went to a city where you would not be killed if you slept with another man's woman. No one would kill you. The law says they must be killed. That's what the law says. That's the work of the law, to kill people who disobey God's word. Paul is saying that you don't have to do that. Why? Because Abraham obeyed God because God said it, not because he was worried about the Levites or the priests killing him. He did it simply because he was told to do it. And if he can do it, so can we. We don't need to be policed to obey God. We'll show you right down the UPK with drugs. Right now, everybody is smoking weed. Up and down the street, standing outside. There's weed shops, things I never thought I'd see in my life. Smoke shops. I remember I was somewhere, God knows where, I saw something that said smoke shops. Oh, man, I'm going to give you some good barbecue. You know, I turned my car around. This happened in my dumb ass house. This is a true story. It said smoke shop. I'm going to give me some brisket out. Here we go. I turned my car around, looking there. Hold up now. See? I'm thinking it's a barbecue place. And it was a weed place, and it's embarrassing, but that happened.
I'm on my way to class. I'm friendly with my downstairs neighbor. He's sitting with his homeboy. He goes in the house, he comes out, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying what's up on my way out. He pulls out a coffee can like this big, you know what I'm saying? So the can opener. So now he opening the can, it's about, twice the size of a full, just, you know what I'm saying, cup of coffee. What you got there? He's like weed, you know what I'm saying? Opens it up, shit straight to him. You know what I'm saying? Like a can this big with like, you know what I'm saying, like 3 ounces. I was just like, and on the lawn in the middle of like, you know what I'm saying, traffic, all that. I'm like, this is just
it's insane
where we live.
And if you think about that the war, that they literally coined that phrase, the war on drugs, to stop people from smoking weed. All of your fathers and your brothers and your cousins and yourself in jail because the car smells like weed. In jail over weed. All of your whole generations are wiped out because the police were trying to stop people from smoking weed. Now, everybody can smoke weed, and the UPK still doesn't. And we are not worried about going to jail. We're not worried about getting arrested, and we never were. All through the drug war, we weren't getting high. While there was a drug war, while the police were locking everyone else up, we didn't get high. Now everyone smokes weed. There is no penalty, and we still don't smoke it, right? And that is faith. Faith is when you do it not because you're worried about the penalty. You do it because it's right. You don't do it because it's wrong. That's what Abraham did, and that's what this precept is about. I'll read it one more time. Go ahead. I'll give you a second if you need it.
So, you wanted the apology video?
I do.
I got that.
The what? Hold that for the end of class. Yes, now give me keep reading so I can answer this brother's question.
Concern. Now to him that worketh is the reward, not reckoned of grace, but of debt.
Not reckoned of grace, but of debt. Read it one more time.
Now to him that worketh is the reward, not reckoned of grace, but of debt.
Not reckoned of grace, but of debt, meaning what? Come on.
We're in Romans chapter 4, verse 4.
Keep going.
Yes, sir. Verse 5.
Oh, let me read that part again so I can explain.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. Now to him that worketh.
What does worketh mean? Worketh is someone who is doing the works of the law because it's a law, right? Like not smoking weed simply because it's illegal. Well, when they make weed legal, you are going to smoke it all because now it's legal. Homosexuality. There were a lot of people that were fighting their urges for homosexuality for a while. They called them closeted homosexuals, where they had these urges, but they didn't act on it because they were worried about the repercussions. Oh, that's over. Right. Now you're going to do better in your career if you're gay. You brothers out here that rap, you better start being gay. I'm telling you straight now, because being gay is what they're going to require of you. Because you're going to sell more records if you're gay. So then why would you not be gay? Because you don't care about that. That's integrity. Because everyone else is going to be gay because they're going to profit from being gay. They're not going to fight their urges and not perform homosexual acts because they're worried about someone finding out. They're going to hope people find out. And if people find out, they're going to get more rich. So then why should you not be gay? Because it's wrong. You understand? Because it's wrong. I'll explain. Read it one more time. Ashton.
It's like I was answering General Q. Verse 4. Now to him that worketh is the reward, not reckoned of grace.
Now, if you are keeping the law because you're afraid of the punishment, because you're doing it because you'll be punished if you don't do it, then your reward is not of grace; it's of debt. Meaning you owe this. So now you're doing it. Debt is like it's a burden to you to do it. You get my point? You're doing it because you have to. That's what the debt is talking about. Why did I give this man this money? Why? Because I had to give him this money. It's a debt. Why did I give this man the money? Because I wanted to. I wanted him to have it. That's different now. And there are people that keep the commandments because they don't want to go to jail. Right? People that don't rob banks, not because they love, not stealing, but they're afraid to get a bank robbery charge. People that don't get high because they're afraid to go to jail. There were people that kept the commandments of God because they didn't want to get stoned. They didn't want to get killed. It was a debt. It was something they had to do. They were compelled to do, forced to do. They didn't like it. They didn't believe in it, but they obeyed it because they were forced to. It was a debt. Everyone understands? No, a debt is something you have to do. You get my point? Like you don't have a choice. You have to do it. It's a debt. You have, like if you owe traffic tickets, you got to give them the money, right? You got rent on a place. You have to give them the money. It's a debt. There are some people that keep the law because they had to do it. You and I are not one of those people because we don't have to keep the law. We live here in New York, but we keep the law anyway because we believe. That's the difference. Everyone understands. All right, go ahead. Read it again. Read the rest of it. Salah.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. Verse 5. But to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifieth the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness.
To him that justifieth the ungodly. Why? Because we're not raised in Jerusalem. We're raised here in this ungodly place. This place that doesn't have people that will stone you for not keeping the law. This place is ungodly, and yet we obey God. Yet we obey him nonetheless. That's faith. Faith. You're doing it sincerely because you believe it, not because you're forced to. Everybody understands? Come on.
So what's that part where it says, to him that worketh not?
To him that read that part one more time to remind me.
But to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifieth the ungodly.
To him that worketh not is the person who is not killing homosexuals, because that's the work of the law. Okay, it comes from Christians making you think in your mind that the Bible says don't be a homosexual. The Bible says don't do this. That's the 10 Commandments. All of the rest of the law of Moses is telling a man who to kill. That's the whole thing. You should do this to him if he does that. Do this to him if he does that. Do this to him if he does that. All right? But we are not going to kill homosexuals. We're not going to kill liars. We're not going to kill people that worship other gods. But we will never worship another god. We will never be homosexuals. You get my point? Even though we're not doing the works of the law, meaning killing the people who break the law, we're not going to do that, but we are going to keep the law. Done. And there's 1,000 precepts for this. A law unto themselves is what you need for this as well. All right? Them without the law do by nature that which is contained in the law. So we're outside of the law, meaning we're not killing homosexuals. We're not doing that. We're outside the law, but we're never going to be homosexuals. We're not going to do it because it's wrong, not because we're afraid of the repercussions. Everybody understands. You need more with this or not? Any more? Come on.
Just more verse. Quick, sir.
Go ahead.
I always know if the scripture was related to like Cornelius, when I was telling him, like even though we may be following what we be saying, you been obeying, you know, your Roman legion and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. You still got you got faith according to what you know. You know what I mean? Because you ain't know no better. So I'm trying to see if the scripture is like related to that based on the rest of the scriptures that he hasn't read yet.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
But to him that worketh not, but believe on him that justifies the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness.
What's your question?
I was trying to see if this was related to.
Oh, Cornelius, absolutely. That's the same thing. Right. That's what it means. To be ungodly means that you're raised ungodly.
Right.
You're not taught the law. All of us are ungodly because we were raised in a place where they taught you to break the law. What did David say? In sin did my mother conceive me. David was taught to break the law. Right? We're taught to break the law. But we have faith. And now our faith has made us whole. Now our faith is how we're justified, because even though we're raised to break the law, we don't break the law. And no one is going to kill us if we break the law. So why? So we're not doing it out of debt. We're not forced to keep the law. You can go eat pork tonight. You can leave the truth and do whatever the hell you want to do, but you don't. Why not? When it would really solve all your problems. You women, you would stop being called dumb by girls in your family if you would just leave your husband. He has another woman. He has another woman, and your family calls you dumb. And you're stupid for putting up with that. Well, you could just leave him, and everyone would say, now you're smart and single with the rest of us. Now we're happy now. But instead of doing it, you stay with him. Why? When it would make your life easier to leave him. Because you believe. That's the only reason to do it. Because life would be better if you would sin. You would be able to be high. I don't know if you brothers are poor, but when you're poor and high, it's like you're not even poor. It's really like you don't even know you're poor. You can sleep on somebody's couch out, and it's not even like you're homeless. Which is crazy to me now to think, because I imagine if I had to sleep on somebody's couch, I'd be like, listen, I got to get myself together. I got to get out there and get it on now. Yeah. But imagine you in the world and you sleeping on somebody's couch out. You are not even homeless in your mind. Like where you live at? I live, my homie here, homie there. Some nights I'm over there. Some nights I'm over there. Those brothers that do drugs, they don't even realize they're poor or homeless. It's like it's not even happening because they are able to get high. And getting high makes you have no problems at all. Well, why aren't you doing that? Because you believe. Everyone understands. That's what Abraham was about. Abraham was told to do something, he did it up. And he didn't do it because there was the magistrate, the law there trying to kill him, telling him, you better sacrifice your son or else we're going to kill you. That didn't happen. He was just told to take his son and tie him to a table like, and he did it. And that's that. Everyone understands. Next.
I have another question. This one is from Memphis. Memphis wants a breakdown on 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 25 and 27.
Also, somebody texted me this week about a question about how are the Arawak Indians, Israelites. All of those names are different names that mainly Edomites came up with. And they're all Israelites. Those are the lost 10 tribes of Israel coming over here to South and Central America. You got the Carib Indians. What's other Indians? Taino.
The Borican, which are the Taino. Sorry.
Please, come on.
Taino, Arawak, Caribs. Those are all the quote-unquote Indians of the Caribbean.
Taino, Arawak, Carib. Right? And so somebody just texted me, and how are they Israelites? You got a whole breakdown. You did on that as well, right? You can go to Captain Cottazai's breakdown on that. He'll break the whole thing down for you nice and flat, all right? But they're all Israelites, and their true name are the names of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, the 10 tribes who flee to Syria, all right? You got it.
If I may, and just those are all the bastardized names that they called us, but it wasn't what we called ourselves.
Exactly. These are the names that, heathens named them for their own purposes of convenience, really. All right, please.
Yeah, I actually got two questions.
Sorry.
We still have the question waiting.
Let me get the, how long have they been waiting? A while?
Memphis, about the same.
Give me 1 second, Warrior, all right? Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Al.
Salakia. This is from Memphis. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 25 and 27.
See me one more time with the chaser, please.
Whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
Right, the shambles. Now, to understand this, brother, you have to understand Israelite culture. Israelites are very, very specific about what they eat because we have a dietary law. And we have a culture of being clean, of washing our hands and washing pots. That's all over the Bible, right? Now, but the disciples of Christ were told by Christ to go out to the highways and byways and teach. And so now you're going to be away from home. And when you're away from home, one of the major obstacles is, where am I going to eat? When I am particular about where I eat. What Christ is saying is, whatsoever you buy in the shambles, eat it. What is a shamble? A shamble is like a marketplace, like a store, right? But it's not a wonderful store. It's like a bodega. That's the perfect example for a shamble. A corner bodega. And you're going to go into that bodega and you're going to get yourself a chopped cheese. Take that chopped cheese and put it in your mouth and then get ready for camp.
Right. Exactly.
And that's it. That's all. Now, an Israelite who lives in Israel, this is what you'll do. When it says asking nothing, this is what you don't want to do. Do not ask what else he cooked on that grill. Don't ask that question now. Mind your business. Order a chopped cheese and get the hell up out of there. Don't start questioning. You stay there long enough, you're going to see the cat walk right in front of the food. The cat is going to walk hop over the bread. And you don't want that. Everything all right up? 1 second. Go ahead up. No, I'm in the middle of class. Is it an emergency? All right, we should look at that. You don't want to ask too many questions up in there. All right, you'll find out what you think you don't want to know. And you'll see that cat hop over your bread. All right, so just get in there and get your food and get the hell up out of there. Why? Because you got to teach. So you're going to be in places where they don't have the best standards of hygiene and the best food standards. Shout out again to the sisters who provide good, clean food for us. Right. So we don't have to go into that bodega and eat everything. To this day, I cannot go to McDonald's. I drive by McDonald's, it hurts my stomach because I had to eat so many dollar burger and cheeses. I mean, just a sea of them. Dollar burger, just the thought of it makes me sick, and I just cannot do it anymore. All right, but I did it then. Ate them down. Then I switch it up, get the chicken one. Right. You got the burger, then the chicken. I switch it up to try to, fancy it up a little bit. That's this precept. Because you're going out to teach, you're going to have to go into, places that aren't very reputable and get yourself something to eat because you're away from home. Mommy is not there to cook for you anymore. But you got to get out there and you got to eat wherever you are. So whatever they got in there, eat it and shut your mouth. All right? If you think this is about, eating pork, then of course, then maybe you should go into the shambles and ask for rat or dog or cat. This is not about that. This is about being away from home and being in a place that is not clean. You get my point? That doesn't have the kind of high hygiene that an Israelite place would. An Israelite place, the pots would be clean. Remember, they wanted to kill Christ over not washing his hands. That's how places were in Israel. They washed their hands like it was religious to wash their hands and to wash the pots. But now you're in this bodega and they're not sweating that too hard. Everybody understands. Come on.
I was watching a couple weeks ago. I was watching an instructional video of how to deal with being interrogated if you get kidnapped by a foreign military. And the rules is, if they ever offer you food or anything to drink, just take it. So now when you take the food, what the foreign military does is they say, see, look, he's complying, you should give information, he's eating the food, right? But the other man who knows the instruction from the interrogation teachings, he already knows that he didn't comply. He was eating the food because the rules of the protocol of the interrogator. He said to us, eat whatever's in the sandwich.
That's it.
Same thing.
You don't want to go in there and say, well, did you wash your hands? Was this pot clean? Who made this? Let me see who made this. Let me see if he, come on. We'll never get out in the street.
Right.
We'll never build schools if you're going to act like that. You're going to have to toughen up. You have to get rough. Get out there and eat whatever the hell they got out there in that bodega in some old strange city you're sitting in, trying to find something to eat. Find something clean out there to eat and eat it and shut up. That's the point. All right? In the back.
So I just wanted to confirm. Did you use this for like in your daily life with groceries? Like, because I've heard like grocery stores, the back in their meat section be just that. Like, have a rat and a piece of chicken, and then the supervisor tell you to throw out the rat and put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, I can't say you have to use it in your daily life. But in your daily life, you can get whatever you can get to eat to your satisfaction, right? But there's a time when we're at war.
Right.
We're out on a mission. We got to get something to eat. We can't, we might not have candles. You get my point, a tablecloth. You're going to have to just find something to eat and eat it because it fills your stomach for a few minutes. That's the point. Think like a soldier.
Right.
When a soldier sits down and eat, there's no tablecloth and all that garbage. We got to just put this in a sock and go.
Right.
And that's what you want to do. That's what he's saying. Don't sit there and ask him, are his hands clean? Or are the pots, were the pots clean? Take the damn food, eat it, and get back out and start teaching. That's the point, all right? Come on.
Verse 27, sir.
Go ahead.
Verse 27. If any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
This is the exact same thing. You're out speaking, you're in some strange city, and a lot of you brothers are going to go to some weird places. You go to some small town somewhere in another country, or Brazil, or God knows where, or out there to Haiti. A lot of you brothers are going to be in Haiti somewhere. Don't get out there and look the gift horse in the mouth. Don't get out there and act all funny. Eat them chicken feet. Come on.
Very soon, sir.
Soon.
Lord willing.
As you out in Haiti, you like, what's this? This is your dinner. Put it in your mouth. And thank them that they gave you. That's all they have. What are you gonna look at it like it's strange? A bowl of chicken feet? You better eat that chicken, eat the foot and the nail and everything. What will you say? No, thank you, ma'am. You know how much they sacrifice to give you that bowl of chicken? Some of them, they give you the coxcomb, the little thing on top of the rooster's head. That's gonna be a bowl full of the coxcomb. Don't turn your nose up at it. Put it in your mouth. Now, you don't have to go, but if you're disposed to go to their home, if you want to go to their home, and you're in the home, don't look at them like, what the hell is this? What are you doing? Did you wash your hands? Eat it. Now, that doesn't mean eat a cat, a dead cat. It doesn't mean eat human flesh, and it doesn't mean eat pork and shrimp.
Right.
But when you get the food, you don't want to, you don't want to be inhospitable. You don't want to be rude at a person whose home you're in and you're eating because you're in their home. Everyone understands. Have some goddamn class. All right? Next.
Trooper had a question, sir.
Trooper.
I had a question about tithing in the new covenant, because Christians try to act like there's no tithing anymore, like that law is done away with.
You mean Creflo Dollar?
Calvin, that's a good example.
Yeah, because I believe Christians take a ton of money as far as I can tell. Are Christians not taking money anymore? I'm asking you, meaning, to your knowledge, are Christians no longer taking tithes?
I mean, there's certain Christians that believe that, the old laws are abolished so that tithing would be abolished also.
But do they go to church?
I'm not too sure, sir.
Yeah, because I believe Christians do believe the law is done away with, but they still pay tithes out of both fists and feet.
Yeah.
That's how they get the airplanes. and the Rolls Royces. You understand, right?
Common.
So you would like the tithing in the new covenant.
Common.
That's your breakdown, no problem. Levi, what do you want?
I was gonna say, I believe those are like the Christian Israelites that don't believe in the tithing, or they say we gotta tithe vegetables.
Is that what you're talking about, Trooper?
Common.
Definitely Christian Israelites, for sure. They don't believe in the law. Right? Give me tithes in the New Testament, please. Go ahead.
Hebrews, the 7th chapter.
We'll start there. I need to move fast, all right? Come on.
So I was wondering if you heard about the Indian pastor who literally berated his church about not buying him I don't know the brand, but a very expensive wristwatch.
It was coming up on my timeline. I kept blazing past it because it was Christian, but I believe I saw it. They wanted him to buy them a wristwatch.
Right.
Yeah, Christians definitely believe in getting cash. All the cash they can possibly get. Everything. Now, fake Israelite groups, of course, I believe they don't believe in taking tithes, and I don't know. They don't believe in a lot of laws. All right. Let me break it down for you. Let the trooper read. All right. Come on.
And they say it's vegetables, but they wouldn't send a French cut, you know what I mean, string bean.
Let me, I'll go into this. I got to move for time's sake. All right. Let the trooper read. All right.
So this book of Hebrews chapter 7 verse 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem.
Let me give you a good precept that'll help you out battling fake Israelite Christians, all right? Okay, hold on, stand by. You need to put this with your tithes breakdown, all right?
Will, is Matthew 23 a good one when Christ was cutting the Sadducees and the Pharisees about keeping the law of
That's a
tithing?
good one. That's a good one, but this one I need has shekels in it. Shekels. Stand by. 1 second now.
Not that you don't muzzle an ox.
Not that. That's a good one, but that's not the one I'm referring to. Ooh, this is a good one. Hold on. That ain't it either. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. Give me 1 second now so I can find this, all right, Asher?
If I may, sir. Everyone give a round of applause for the New York cookout, August 26, 27, 28.
All right.
We're going to be in Marcus Garvey Court on the 28th at 12 p.m. We're going to be having camp in Times Square on the 27th from 11 to 5. And Commander General Yohana will be speaking and giving the solution to gun violence in New York City at 3 o'clock.
Outstanding. Give my hand. Here I come. Hold on. I think it's Exodus, right? I think it's Ezekiel 38. Ooh. I believe this is Ezekiel 27:3. Ooh, wait. On down, right? Let me start with this first thing to correct this lie about tithes that you've heard in the. I'm sure you've heard about the fake Israelites talking about that tithes is fruit. You heard that before, fruit and vegetables. Let me explain something to you. Tithes, 6,000 years ago, has always been money.
Right.
Tithes has never been fruit, has never been vegetables.
That's right.
Tithes has never ever been animals, ever. Tithes has always been a monetary amount of what that thing is worth.
Right.
Always. And it's right here in the Bible, and I'm about to show it to you in a few seconds. Come on.
Because you can't bring spoiled fruit as tithes.
Yeah. Okay. Imagine a whole nation gives. Imagine a whole nation gives the priest their lambs. How many lambs would that priest have? Kadazar, yes. Take a guess. And then what, in essence, would the priest be then? Farmers.
Right.
And priests can't be farmers.
Right.
They have duties.
They would then if everybody gives them a lamb, then they're sheep herders now and sheep farmers.
Right.
And what are they gonna do with all those goddamn sheep? Anybody? What would you have to do if you have 1 million sheep, Kadazar?
You would have to take care of them, feed them.
And then what? When you're taking care of them, you're feeding them, they're making babies. You got 1 million sheep now. What do you have in a year? 2 million sheep.
Right.
Because now they make babies. So then you would now be a sheep farmer, and eventually you would have to sell them. You would have to start selling all of these goddamn sheep. If everybody gives you all of their grapes, so every grape you're getting 10% of, what are you going to be in 6 months? A grape seller.
Right.
You're going to have millions of pounds of grapes. Grapes have never been vegetables, but there is a monetary. I'm sorry. Tithes have never been vegetables. Tithes have never been vegetables, but there's a monetary amount for that bull, a monetary amount for that sheep, and it's right here in the Bible. Generally, Hannah told it to me many years ago, and then told it to me again recently when I couldn't remember what the hell it was. It's shekels, and everything that you read about being a tithe is in the Bible, and it's telling you how many shekels to give the priest for that thing. Because you can't give him animals because he's not a farmer. Everyone understands.
Preceptor,
Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 14 and 24.
Go ahead.
And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Most High thy power shall choose to say the same day, when the Most High God bless thee, then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind the money in thy hand, and thou shalt go into the place of the Most High thy power thou shalt choose.
Yes, we turn vegetables into money. Turn cows into money. Turn sheep into money. And I need you to read Leviticus 27 and maybe we should start with this and I'll give you the one in Luke. Let's go to Leviticus 27 and 3. Read that. Same truth. Read 27. Read Leviticus 5 and 15 first.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 5 and verse 15. If a soul commit a trespass and sin through ignorance in the holy things of the Lord, then he shall bring for his trespass unto the Lord a ram without blemish.
Stop. Now, brother, you've heard of that before, have you not? You've heard of giving the Most High a ram without blemish, a perfect lamb, a perfect ram, which is a male sheep. Or there's a lot of other animals that have rams, but a ram sheep is a male sheep is the one we'll use today. Go ahead.
Out of the flocks with thy estimation by shekels of silver.
Say it one more time.
By shekels.
Before that. By
with thy estimation.
Yeah. What does that mean?
That's right.
Trooper?
Salaki, so it means a specific amount depending on whatever situation.
In this case, it's a ram without blemish. So, I know, okay, because of movies, a lot of you think about the Bible like a movie, like a prophet is an old man with a long beard with a stick by himself. When really, there were schools of prophets. You know, Ezekiel and all those brothers, they rode together.
Right.
Jeremiah, Barak, and all of them, they were together. Like prophets rode in camps. And the men you're reading about were living together at the same time, rolling together, going to camp together.
So they weren't separate?
No, they were not separate. You have to think about offerings in the same way. In your mind, you think, I have a sheep. Here you go, one single solitary man in the woods. Take my sheep. When this is a nation of people giving their sheep.
Right.
And so if 10,000 people give one sheep to this guy, he's now a sheep farmer. When he has to be a priest.
Right.
Remember when Elijah, who's the brother that came? His name begins with an M. He went to rebuild the temple. The guy who's the brother that rebuilt the temple? Nehemiah. When Nehemiah went and saw the temple, he knew that the prophets were not receiving their 10% because the prophets were in the fields. That's in the Bible. Pull that for him.
Yes, sir.
If prophets are out working, Nehemiah came into the city and saw priests in the field shucking corn and cutting wheat. And when he saw that, he knew they're not paying their tithes in this town. Nehemiah 13 and 10. Hold where you are right there, trooper, and go ahead. Nehemiah 13 and 10. Come on.
If I may, sir, I don't know if you remember, I think it was like a year ago. Somebody brought up Bitcoin and he said, no, you got to change that out yourself. We do not do the work of investing in what's called. They're not investors in here. We are free. I got to do the work in
That's correct. We don't do it. I pray you understand. Go ahead, trooper. Come on. If he has it,
Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 10. And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given to them. For the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled every one to his field.
When he saw the Levites in the field, he said that he perceived that they weren't getting their portion because a Levite can't be in the field. So he can't be a sheep farmer or a grape farmer or a corn farmer. He has to be in the temple. And when Nehemiah saw them in the field, he knew people stopped paying tithes. Tithes is paid. You understand? Let me give you another misconception. Tithes is not a group of money that we all hold together to help each other with when you get in the jam. That is not what tithes is. That's not, and fake Israelite groups will not tell you this, but I'm telling you this straight up so you can understand. Tithes is paid. It's General Yohana's paid. It's his money. Now, because of him, and he is nothing like me, for some reason he takes all of his pay and uses it to pay your rent.
Right.
And uses it to give your wife money so she can have a healthy baby. And uses it for your kids to get to go back to school with book bags. But the pay is his. Now, what he decides to do with it is up to him. But tithes is paid for the priest. That's what it is. And we just read it. I'll read it one more time for you. Go ahead.
Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 10. And I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them. For the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled everyone to his field.
If people don't pay tithes, guess what? Everybody got to go out and get in the fields. And then who in the hell will solve all of your problems day and night, all the time, never stops? Right. Somebody has to do it. You see this trooper, this precept right here? Okay, you need more?
If we keep reading, it talks about the treasury, sir.
Please. Yes, sir.
Verse 11, then contended I with the rulers and said, why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place.
Why did he think the house of God was forsaken? Because the Levites were in the field. He knew that the house of God had been forgotten. And fake Israelites that speak against tithes, remember, they don't have anybody that wants to give them a damn thing anyway. Right? Fake Israelites are just trying to stop the UPK from taking tithes. Because a fake Israelite, if he tried to get tithes, he would get nothing any damn way. Because he's a goddamn filthy piece of garbage. But speaking against tithes is their way of stopping income from coming into the school so that we can reject the temple and have no priests. Which is a fake Israelite has one goal. And that's for the UPK to be destroyed. Right. They don't care about anything else. It is the minute they left the truth back in 93, they've been watching and waiting for us to fall, praying that we fall every day. And every day that we get stronger, it hurts their faith in themselves. And so they have to say, well, tithes is wrong, not for them, but because they want to destroy the school. Just like not paying tithes at this time forsook the temple. Everyone, I got to move on for time's sake. But the young brother, you can have this right here, trooper, all right? And if you read on down, oh my God, it's all over Luke 27. It's going to name just everything that you pay in tithes. Luke 27 and 3. Read that, Luke 27 and 3, trooper, and that's all I can give you. You can just keep going down, keep running it down, and it'll keep explaining that everything that we take in sacrifice has a monetary estimation, and that's what you gave the priest. You gave him the monetary estimation. Luke 27 and 3.
Yes, sir.
Who says so?
Salakia, 20, because Luke starts at 24.
I mean, damn, I meant to say Leviticus. Salakia, Leviticus 27 and 3.
Okay, I thought
No problem. Leviticus 27:3. Salah.
Leviticus chapter 27 and verse 3. And thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old, even unto 60 years old. Even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver.
Here we go again. Read 4.
Verse 4. And if it be a female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels.
And this is going to keep going down. Keep going to everything that we gave the temple. In your mind, it's like they gave a bunch of grapes to the temple, or they gave a bunch of goats or a bunch of turtle doves, and they did not. They gave the monetary estimation of whatever that thing was to the temple. Everybody understand? You can just keep reading this down on your own time. Now let's go to Leviticus. Let's go to Hebrews 7. I gotta wrap this up. Come on.
Say right quick. Even today, we got the same thing where brothers will want to go to camp on Saturday, but they might be held back by this slavery.
It happens. It's happening right now. When, of course, if everyone paid their tithes, there would be no priest at work.
That's right.
The Salaki, every priest would be at work.
Right.
I pray you understand that.
Right.
All right. Keep reading, Trooper. Hebrews what?
7:1.
Hebrews 7:1. You got it.
Come, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem.
You familiar with Melchizedek?
Come.
Who he is? You know the whole story back in Genesis, right?
Come.
Go ahead.
King of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham, returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him. Verse 2, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all.
Abraham did what?
Gave a 10th part of all.
Abraham gave a 10th part of everything that he spoiled, that he took from those 5 kings. He gave a 10th of it to Melchizedek. Right. Keep going.
Come. First being by interpretation.
Someone else, give me the carnal commandment with Levi. That Levi cannot own anything. That Levi has to have his portion with the Lord.
I believe that's in Leviticus the 18th chapter.
When you get it, hold it. Come on.
I have a video that General Q sent about a pastor getting mad because about tithes and his congregation not buying him a new watch.
That's what he brought up. We'll play it as soon as we get done this, all right? Go ahead.
Come. By interpretation, king of righteousness. And after that, also king of Salem.
Melchizedek was the spirit of Christ.
Right.
That met with Abraham on the way back from slaughtering those 5 kings. Right. Specifically to take 10% from Abraham. Right. That's when Christ established the New Testament, that the priests of the New Testament would receive tithes. He established it way back in the Old Testament. On that day when he met Abraham and he took 10% from Abraham, that day he established the new covenant priests and their right to receive tithes. Keep going.
Come. And after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace, without father, without mother, without descent.
Now that part is important because he didn't have father, he didn't have mother, he didn't have a descent, meaning a bloodline he came down from. He was straight from the Most High. Keep going.
Come. Having neither beginning of days nor end of life.
So he was an angel.
That's right.
Think about it like that. He's an angel. He wasn't born into this world under mother and father. He came straight down from the Most High like an angel. And this is the spirit of Christ. Right here, Prince of Peace. All right, keep going.
Come. But made like unto the Son of God.
That's what made like unto the Son of God means, made like an angel. Keep going.
Come. Abideth a priest continually.
Abideth a what?
A priest continually.
Who was a priest continually? Same brother.
Salaki,
right in front of you. But it's right in front of you. Melchizedek. And Melchizedek, of course, is Yahushua. Keep going.
Come. Verse 4. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils.
Man, this cat Melchizedek must have been great, because even Abraham paid tithes to him. Abraham gave him tithes, so this must have been a heavy, heavy cat. Keep going.
Come, verse 5. And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, which receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law.
Now, verily, meaning for sure, Levites have a commandment from God to take 10% from the people. That is a commandment. Verily, meaning it's true. Keep going.
Okay. That is of their brethren.
Meaning Levi is taking tithes of his brothers, of the other 12 tribes. Keep going.
Though they come out of the loins of Abraham.
Though Levi comes from Abraham. Right. Levi comes from Abraham, and guess what? Abraham gave tithes to Melchizedek. Right. So who's greater, Levi or Melchizedek? Melchizedek is greater. Right. He's better than Levi. He supersedes Levi. Keep going.
Verse 6. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham. And blessed him that had the promise.
And Melchizedek blessed Abraham, which means Melchizedek was Abraham's priest. Right. Because he took 10% and then blessed him and said, good job, well done. The Lord be with you. You give me that 10%, you've done the right thing. Now Abraham could go on and be the father of nations because he was blessed by that priest. Keep going.
Verse 7. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better.
Read that one more time.
And without all contradiction, the least is blessed of the better.
Well, I think I just wrote that down, but I'll give you a chance to explain it. Without any contradiction, the least is blessed of the better. Who is the least, Trooper?
Salaki, it would be Melchizedek.
Who is the least? The least is blessed of the better. Meaning the better bless the least. The least, like imagine me being the least, and then the better blesses me. I am blessed of the better. The better blessed me. So who is the least?
Salaki would be Levi.
Levi, who is the better?
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek is right there in front of you without any contradiction. Melchizedek is better than Levi. It's right there in front of you. You just said it right there. The least is blessed of the better. And it just said before that Melchizedek blessed Abraham. You heard that, right? Keep going.
Verse 8. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them, of whom it is witnessed that he liveth.
Here men that die receive tithes, but here a man who didn't die and wasn't born received tithes from Abraham. Melchizedek is better than Abraham. He's better than Levi. He's the best, and he's the priest that we serve. Keep going.
Verse 9. And as I may say, Slaki, and as I may so say, Levi also, who received the tithes, paid tithes in Abraham.
He's saying Levi paid tithes too, because Levi was in the scrotum of Abraham when he paid tithes. If you caught us out of that battle you were in with them Africans about where life starts, this is one I'm sure you already knew and used. That Levi was in the loins of Abraham when Abraham paid tithes, which means Levi paid tithes. Keep going.
Come. Verse 10. For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him.
Keep going.
If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people receiveth the Lord, what further need was there for another priest should arise after the order of Melchizedek?
You asked the question. You said, where is tithes in the New Testament? Well, if the Old Testament priests made the people perfect because they received the law, then why would there be a need for a new priesthood? And there absolutely was a need for a new priesthood because the Levitical priesthood did not make us perfect. Keep going.
Come. After the order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron.
Read that one more time. The new priesthood, what? Read that again.
What further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek?
Another priest will rise after the order of Melchizedek. Meaning what? That the priests who serve Christ, the priests in this priesthood, we are priests after the order of Melchizedek. Keep going.
Come. And not be called after the order of Aaron.
And not called after the order of Aaron. Aaron was, of course, the father of the Levitical priests. Keep going.
Verse 12. For the priesthood being changed, there is made a necessity a change also of the law.
You understand that, don't you? Keep going.
Come. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar.
That's speaking about the tribe of Judah. Everybody understands. I got to skip down for time's sake. Just give me, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Give me that. Levi.
Real quick, sir. Verse 12, where it says, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. Is that change referring to a change from paying Levi to?
That's the topic, is it not? The law says that the Levites are joined to the Most High and eat of the altar. Paul said that his priests eat of the altar. That's in 2 Corinthians, the 9th chapter. Right. His priests eat of the altar. There's a new priesthood. It's better than the old one. It was around before the old one, because the first man to receive priests was Christ when he met Abraham on that road coming back from them 5 kings. It supersedes the Levitical priesthood. The Levitical priesthood failed, and the new priesthood was chosen because there was a necessity of it. There was a need for a new priesthood. Give me, you are priest forever. It's right here somewhere.
Salak, verse 17.
Go ahead.
For he testified, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
Read that again.
For he testified that, Salaki, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
The Levites were the priests who received tithes. Paul is laying the case down flat as he can that the new priest should receive the tithes, just like Abraham gave tithes to Christ. That's the new priesthood. These are the new people that are supposed to get you 10%. And you're going to give that 10% up if you got to work Uber. No matter what in the hell you have to do, you're going to pay that 10 goddamn percent if the fake Israelites explode. If their heads pop off, you're going to do it. Everybody understands? Any other questions?
Sloppy, you wanted when they didn't get inheritance?
Yeah, give me that.
This is Deuteronomy 18:1. The priests, the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of the Most High made by fire and his inheritance.
That's it. That's the law that had a necessity to change. That the Levites did not eat. They ate of the altar. They did not eat from their own farms and having other jobs. They ate from being priests. Now give me last one, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 9 and 11, where it says, he that worketh of the altar shall eat of the altar, muzzle not the ox that treadeth out the corn. And this is Paul, I believe 9, yeah, 2 Corinthians 9. Look up, he that worketh of the altar shall eat of the altar. So now Paul started taking tithes and collecting tithes because he was working for it. Come on.
1 Timothy 5 and 18.
Fine. Go ahead and tell them where that is. Read it.
1 Timothy 5 and 18.
1 Timothy 5 and 18. For the scripture says, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward.
Damn right he is. And give me the one where he eateth of the altar. Shema Wala.
And the first 59, that's it. If we have sown to spiritual things, is it a great thing he shall eat your carnal things?
Oh, that's precept. For time's sake, just give me the one I just said about eateth of the altar. It's in the New Testament. I want to say it's 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians. This is just to show you that Paul had his men eating from the altar, even though they were not Levites, because he knew that the priesthood had changed. Come on.
1 Corinthians 9 and 13.
Read that. I remember we just read, Abadi read where it says the Levites could not have other jobs. They had to eat of the altar. Well, this is what Paul is saying about his men, the disciples of Christ, here in 1 Corinthians 9. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 13. Do ye not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple?
Keep going.
And they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar.
That's Paul. That's the new priesthood, trooper. That's him saying it right here. Like the same thing that you would do for a Levite, you're going to do for the disciples of Christ. All of that money you were giving Creflo, you better bring it in here. All that, every penny that your grandmama would have given the church, give it to the UPK. Everything that you would give your drug dealer, you brothers that smoked weed in the past, bring all of your weed money in here. all of your cocaine money, all of your crack money. Bring it in here. If you could waste it on crack, give it to the priests of the Lord so we can have them doing one job and one job alone. Everybody understands. It's the lack of tithes leads to a lack of priests, which is exactly what the precept says. When you don't pay the priest, you don't get any. That should be easy to understand. So all of your priests are driving Ubers and working, being mechanics and being custodians and being this and that because this nation gives its money to preachers. And because of that, you priests go out and work slaveries. But if these fake Israelites would stop telling people not to pay you tithes, the nation should pay you tithes, and then you're telling that job that you work at every day, you've been hired by someone else. God has now hired you. And then you could quit that stupid job and now be a priest all day. But these stinking Christian Israelites, they don't want us to have priests. You understand, Trooper? They don't want priests. They want you to go work on that stupid job. You have a slavery? Trooper. Most High in Christ. Well, you let them do you. You'll have a slavery until you drop dead, like my father dropped dead in a FedEx uniform. Tawar found him in the house going to work, 65 with the FedEx shirt on, dead. Now, the fake Israelites want that to happen to all of us. But none of us are able to actually go and be priests. Right. Because nobody pays tithes. If you don't understand that, I can't do that for you. All right. Next, where are we at now? Come on, Harry.
It's 9:16, sir.
The water. Play the video from General Cabal.
Yes, sir. We also have the apology video too, sir.
I need that, and then I'm done.
Yes, sir.
I have to get to the cops another night. Like I got a good story about how the cops, they get fired. The cat that killed Eric Gardner right here, Tamir Rice, all of those cops, when they say they get fired, they do get fired from that police department.
Right.
And then they go to New Jersey, y'all can get another job. And it's called, I sent it to you, it's called something hopping. Hold on, let me find out why the brother's getting it. I think it's called police hopping. And all of these famous cops that were fired and people fought and protested for them to get fired.
See, that's how I know you.
And they in New Jersey, y'all. They're cops in New Jersey. Sitting up there in New Jersey, in Massachusetts, in Boston somewhere. Cops somewhere else. Let me give you the name of the place so you can look it up on your own time, all right? Go ahead.
If I may say, I find that like funny because it's like sex offender registry follows you really the rest of your life until the judge says you can be taken off. But killing a person and being investigated for a person's murder, doesn't disqualify you from getting a job in the same goddamn?
No, it doesn't. It's called wandering cops, shuffle departments, cops wandering cops. And they kill somebody, out and just go get hired at another police department.
Counselor, like the cop that killed, I think it was Trayvon Martin, was found in the police department.
Tamir Rice
was found in the police department in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the cop that killed Eric Gardner works in Jersey. They all work somewhere else. And all of that protest to get them fired just for them to go wander somewhere else. Come on.
That's what the Catholic Church did. They just moved them to a different church after they molested someone.
Give him a hand, because that's a perfect analogy. Catholic Church does the exact same thing. But we're crazy. We're the cult. We're lunatics. All right. What you got here?
All right, sir.
See, that's how I know you still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted because of how you've been honoring me. I'm not worth your McDonald's money. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John knit. Y'all can't afford it no how. I ain't worth y'all Louis Vuitton. I ain't worth your Prada. I'm not worth your Gucci. Mother, I'm saying this, and I promise you, Deacon, it's not with respect to want. I'm saying it because I want you to understand just what God is saying. I even found out that Movado, you can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters.
This is gonna make me so mad. It's that's all. This is what I don't understand about fake Israelites. Why are fake Israelites always trying to get us not to take tithes, where Christians are getting Movado washes every year? Like, why don't you go tell him not to take tithes? Like, why is it? You know how many battles I've had to have about the money that General Yohana takes, that he gives away, and he takes and gives it to people, and pays your rent and buys your woman. Them brother called me today because General Yohana and bought his wife books so she can go to school. General Yohana takes the money and goes and buys your wife books so she can go back to college. Buys your kids things, but I gotta battle some fake Israelite about us taking tithes? Why don't you go tell him that? Go over there and say, hey, stop paying tithes. Why in the hell are you telling us to not take money when these preachers are taking your money and putting it in their nose?
Right.
Because you don't want us to have priests. That's the reason. That you want these brothers to never get to camp, to never go travel, to never get on a plane and bring the word of God to a city that has never heard it before.
That's right.
You don't want that. But this cat is going to get a Movado watch every year. I got to move on. Fake Israelites, don't play with me about this. Fake Israelites better start paying tithes.
Right.
This is what I want you to do, trooper. Whatever Christian Israelite told you to do that, I want him to pay tithes.
That's right.
Are you listening?
No.
I want him to pay tithes, that person. And whenever you talk to him, if he tries to call you and talk or change the topic, you are not going to talk to him until he hands you the tithes envelope. I want that Christian Israelite to pay tithes. Do you understand me?
Go, cousin.
I pray so.
That's right.
All right. Or maybe we'll get the money another way. Reading on, moving on. This school is gonna have priests. I pray you understand that.
Right.
Anyway, let's play the video. What's another video that we have? What do you have? The apology. Now this is the one I've been trying to bring up. Do you have it?
Yes, sir, but the sound is a little bit different.
This is a good video. This is such an. When I saw this is from one of Hadaria Allah has beautiful wives, beautiful and virtuous and kind and intelligent women of wit and sagacity. Just absolutely charming women this brother is married to. And one of his ribs did something to offend her husband. Sometimes that happens, sister. You might make your husband angry. You might do something wrong. But she made a video for her husband to forgive her that was a master class in getting forgiveness of. It was beautiful. I don't know if we can play it tonight, but I've got to find a way to play it because it was that beautiful. I wanted to see if I can play it for you because this should be celebrated. And a woman that does something like this should be honored because of it, all right? Do you have it? If not, I got to roll.
We'll try it
I'll try to find a way to put it on social media and do something like that.
It's on Facebook.
Okay, give it one shot and then I got to do
Yes,
it.
sir.
Begging my Otawan, Hadar Ya Allah, for his everlasting forgiveness. Please, 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 please. I love you with every fiber that I am. I cannot live without you. You are the very breath that I breathe daily. Please, 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 please. Forgive me, my Lord. I love you. I need you. I want you. I will die without you. When my Lord is happy, I am happy. From ages 14 to 42, we in this together. For life.
Man, give her a hand. God damn it, man. Listen, I know y'all some hardcore brothers. These brothers in here is rough. I'd have forgave the sister. Come on now. I know y'all some rough cats. I used to think I was harder than a woman. Y'all showed me something. Y'all cats way harder than I am. And I was ice cold on the goddamn woman. But I'm forgiving the broad that does this here. Okay? This woman is getting some forgiveness. Play it one more time, nice and loud. Play it again. And you sisters, you watch this and get to computer school. Y'all sisters, you get in there and learn how to make this. Come on.
So I just can't.
Can we get any more volume? And that's all we can do.
Begging my Otawan, Hadar Ya Allah, for his everlasting forgiveness. Please, 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 please. I love you with every fiber that I am. I cannot live without you. You are the very breath that I breathe daily. Please, 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 please,
I like you
please.
wearing all black.
Forgive me, my Lord. I love you. I need you. I want you. I will die without you. When my Lord is happy, I am happy. From ages 14 to 42, we in this together, for life.
Come on, sister. Now, even y'all know that's right. You know that that's right. Now, this sister set the bar for forgiveness up. This woman knows how to get some forgiveness. Now, you compare that to yourself. You compare that to you just saying, "You want something to eat?" You gotta do better than that. That's your forgiveness. Your forgiveness is, "You want a chicken sandwich?" This sister done went to marketing school and computer school and go make an apology. What's your forgiveness? You can touch me tonight. That ain't forgiveness. Come on, put some effort into it, man. Shout out to that sister. Why? Because what is marriage? Marriage is the art of starting over. You want to just start over every day, right? You want to start over every day. Forever is a long time. And the same way you can have a lot of happy memories in a long time, you can have bad memories as well. But you want to start over every night. Let not the sun go down upon thy anger. And this sister wanted to start over, and it's beautiful, and it should be commended. Give her a hand. That pastor shout us over to the God.
Matthew, which means to stand. Metaphysical, one courtesy through. Metaphysical, Matthew Shabbat. Amadio, rock. That's how which means stand down, soft. His sister, Amadio, which means to stand. Metaphysical, we're going to get one courtesy through to the sister. Metaphysical, Matthew Shabbat. Amadio, rock. That's how which means stand down, Smith.